In 2025, you've probably seen Alex Hormozi release the book 100 Million Money Models, and I copied the exact framework that he had in this book to scale my agency to $50,000 per month. And here we can take a look at the exact process, the exact framework that we copied. So in this book, he talks about how to, in my business, we sell AI to local businesses. And so if we were to adopt the framework that he has in the books, here's how we would go about this in a step-by-step process, right? You want to focus on a particular niche, always sell to a niche, never a broad audience, but the more specific your niche, the better, right? And so, you can target home service, let's say contractors, HVAC, plumbing, roofing, cleaning, and you want to target people who have a degree of urgency, right? And what it means by that is their transaction timeline is very short, like 2 weeks or less. You never want to work with companies whose transaction timelines are very long. It's going to be hard for you to make money, right? And you also want to work with phone-dependent clients, businesses who rely on phone calls for bookings and inquiries, because there's currently, as a pain point, a lot of human error. So when there's a lot of human error as a pain point, you come in and eliminate that human error and build out all those automations. And so how you're going to set up an offer is obviously you're going to offer AI, but really is you're going to do a couple of things. You need to focus on lead generation and a service that generates them more revenue. So lead generation is one of those things. You need to find a way for lead capture, right? Either have the AI chatbot on their website, a AI online quote tool, or you run ads for them, and you need a lead conversion mechanism, right? So after they get the lead, how do you help them convert it into employment? How do you help them sell it, right? So either you have a answering service with an outbound agent, or you hire an appointment setting team to do this, and you do all this with AI automations. And then also, what is the next step beyond just the customer close, right? What does your email list look like, right? What does your workflow look like for turning this customer into a maintenance plan? Whereas now, if you have a maintenance plan set up for each customer, you can actually sell the business, right? So that's what private equity companies are looking for, right? And then from here, what does your distribution look like, right? You can't, if you want to create, if you want to have an AI agency that isn't, most 90% of AI agencies, their biggest problem is lead flow. They just don't have enough leads. You don't have enough people to sell to. You're not talking to enough people, right? So what you need to do is, if you're broke, I would do direct calls and personalized emails to local businesses, right? Just cold outreach, but that's shit, right? One that's often overlooked is referrals and partnerships. One of my good friends, he is he works with roofers, but his client acquisition system is really built on all referrals, because they know that roofers refer woofers, right? So what he does is he takes most of his business expense. He goes to these roofing conferences, right? He meets people and is one-on-one, has mentors and partners in the roofing industry, to where they literally just refer him clients, to where the only client acquisition cost is him going to these events to meet people, right? So, unless you can't talk to people in person, go talk to people in person, build all those partnerships. Most people would rather sit behind a screen than go to a conference and get referrals, right? Another thing is, you're going to just double your content marketing online. I would post daily on YouTube, post on Instagram, post everywhere, right? The moment that you post is going to be the time where the views on your video has the lowest view count, right? So those efforts are going to compound over time. In the meantime, you can do cold outreach, run paid ads, essentially. So the next part is your offer, right? How you're going to price the services that you have. And so one is, you're going to obviously have a subscription, a flat fee per month, a monthly retainer, and this includes just the lead generation, or just the standard tools to get leads, right? Nothing complicated, because it's just a monthly service. What I would really opt for is a rev share performance model, to where you get a percentage of the revenue generated, and then there's incentives like $500 per job, 5% per closed job, and then they put up the ad spend, stuff like that. And more so, you want to be on a performance base, because that's where you have a longer longevity with the clients that you work with, right? You have businesses that have higher commitment, more patience, and so your fees are going to depend on the amount of jobs booked, more what's completed through the pipeline. The moment you can say, like, pay per job, pay per call, all those things and measure on a performance-based basis. So it's not entirely just a rev share, right? And so to keep these, business long term is one, if you've done all these things, right? Most of these business owners, they don't want to talk to you on a daily basis. Is you just need to have a a report every 2 weeks or a report every month for them to understand their ROI, so they will continue working with you.